Hey everybody, and welcome back to The Parried Life. This is now our 4th episode, and before we dive into today's episode, I want y'all to check out my shirt. Oh, and my hubby's shirt. We have merch, y'all. We have Parried Life apparel. If you would like, you can go ahead and check it out. It's in our description box below. And yeah, just go ahead and check it out. I mean, I like my shirt. You like your shirt?
Yeah, I think it fits pretty comfortable.
I have a classic tee. My husband has a comfort tee. So you can definitely tell what the difference is.
Yeah, so just make sure that you guys check that out. And like she said, we'll put the link to it in the description below. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and kick off today's episode. And the topic that we'll be centering in on is that of deal breakers. Ooh, heading into marriage. And
even heading into a relationship.
Yes, as you can see right now, I am clean shaven right now. So I already have my wife locked in right now. So I can't say that if I would have approached, coming to this marriage clean shaven, if my wife would have married me.
Dang, you think I'm that shallow? Okay.
No, I'm just.
But you know what, y'all? Let me be real. Like my husband, last night before I shut my eyes, and even this morning, he was a whole different person. He was what you guys saw in the last video: mustache, full on beard. And then literally he went to take a shower and I'm like, oh, he's been in the shower for like an hour. Like, what's going on? I shot him a text and was like, you've been washing your behind for a whole hour. Like, let's go. Like, we have stuff to do. And so he's like, oh, I'm coming out. Y'all, he comes out like it's nothing. Like nothing happened. And my husband has like his age like went back 10 years. And so I have never ever seen you with like no facial hair. So for me, like I am and I was like in total shock. Like I couldn't even look my husband in the eye for a couple of hours because I felt like I didn't know who it was. Like it really just threw me for a loop.
I'm still the same guy.
He says he's the same guy, whatever, but it's like when he talks and I'm not looking at him, I'm expecting him to look like he looked before. And then I look over and I'm like, oh, you're a different guy. So
I'm not the different guy.
That's what it feels like. Even our daughter took like she knows that that's still daddy, but she keeps giving him looks like just wanted to make sure that you still who I think you are kind of deal. So she looks at him a little bit unsure, but but that was my deal breaker for today.
Don't mind her. All I'm going to say is oftentimes it's just, we find ourselves in these situations within marriage where if we do something to our physical appearance, we feel like we need to give a heads up or we need to get permission to do it first. I'm
not saying you permission, but you didn't say anything.
Let me finish. I'm just saying that, I felt it was time for a fresh start. It needed to grow evenly because I'm sure you guys saw, it was kind of all over the place. And with the way that, my facial hair grows, it's just like, I'll let it all come in at one time. Prior to us getting married, she's right. I don't think I ever went clean shaven like all the way down, but this is the first time for everything. I told her, it'll be back within a week or two, at least in some capacity. But that's the whole reason why I bring that up. Is that today's episode is about deal breakers.
So is that why you shaved it? You shaved it on purpose. About deal breakers.
But today's episode is about deal breakers heading into marriage. We did try and seek out opinion on what some of you guys felt would be some of your deal breakers heading into it. So, we'll be sharing some of what we heard, but we'll be adding in some things that probably are deal breakers for us.
Right.
But with that being said, I'll go ahead and let my wife go first, just because I know that we actually, we don't always think alike, and that's okay. And I'm sure that she had some deal breakers that she probably wouldn't have budged on, and I'm the same way. So I'll go ahead and let her, tell what some of hers were.
Well, I'll just go over like what some deal breakers are, just in general, that people have, have spoken on. So I know one thing is children. So for some women and even men, for some people, they have an issue with going into a relationship with somebody that already has children. Whether that be from a standpoint of they don't want any baby mama or baby daddy drama, or they may have seen what they wanted their life to be like, and it didn't include children being present. They kind of maybe wanted to start a family, from scratch, just, them and their mates. I mean, there are tons of reasons as to why some people feel like dating someone or marrying someone who already have children is a deal breaker for them. And then you also have people who, when they are, looking to marry someone or be in a relationship with them, it's almost like you have like a preconceived notion of what you think it's going to be. Somebody has a kid, you're like, oh, it's no big deal. We're just going to be one big happy family. And it doesn't always work out that way. And I know from some people that we know in our personal life that happened with them. They thought that it was going to be a situation where they were going to blend families. It was going to be beautiful. Everybody was going to be happy, and that was that. But it was a complete 180, and it was not that. It was very difficult. It was very challenging for them and their partner. So bringing children into a marriage or a relationship is a deal breaker for some people. The other part to that is your partner may not want to have children, and you do. That to me is a huge deal breaker. That is a personal one for me.
You ain't never got to worry about that with me.
So what that mean?
That means we're gonna have what, 4
more?
Well, what did LeBron say? Not 1, not 2.
I don't know what LeBron said, but I know I'm not having a whole basketball team or a football team. Like, there's a cap. Okay?
All I know is that if we don't have another boy within the next 2 tries, we are adopting.
So you just gonna make a decision on our hand. Okay. No, anyways. So that could be a deal. That's like the biggest deal breaker right there.
Agree.
I don't think that my husband and I honestly would be able to move forward if he was just like, look, I already got 1 kid. I'm not interested in having any more. I would have been like, look, I love you, but love ain't enough, bro.
Yeah, I always wanted a big family, so that was never going to be an issue between us. So
yeah, so. But yeah, that's definitely a big one, and obviously we've seen that kind of play out with those who watched The Real with Jeannie Mai and like her husband. They thought that they could change each other's opinion on wanting to have kids and not wanting to have kids, and unfortunately we saw how that kind of unfolded. So make sure if you plan on getting married, to someone, or if you're getting in a relationship with someone with the intent to get married, to have that conversation about kids.
Definitely.
Like, please, ahead of time. The next one, the next deal breaker is obviously infidelity. if you're dating that person, and they're unfaithful. Obviously, it's up to the person in that relationship, who was hurt, to make that determining factor of if they can move on, with infidelity, if they can just move on into marriage, that's really, up to them.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. We both, I think, can say that would be a big no for the both of us. I mean, whatever people allow in their marriage and their relationships is between them. Whatever. Right. If people are cool with doing whatever and they've talked about it beforehand, I guess. But I just know for us, that would definitely be a deal breaker for the both of us. So infidelity, that's it's a big one.
Yeah, because if he would have stepped out, while we were dating, or I had stepped out while we were dating, there would be no married life. Exactly. Especially if he did, there would not be no Mac Perry. So, but I mean, it's true.
How many times can I get threatened? I think I've already been threatened to be put in a box already once on this
it's
show.
It's okay. I mean business. I don't play that.
I know. I'm not about that life, but
praise him.
But yeah, I could definitely see where that would be a big deal breaker for not only you and I, but a lot of couples.
Right. Who wants to keep going through that? But then I know I've also heard other people be like, okay, well. You have people being, unfaithful in a relationship, but then when you get married and there's still infidelity within the marriage, like some people are kind of like, well, what's the difference? Obviously in a relationship, you can just up and walk away, there's nothing there, unless you have children, which, makes things a little bit more difficult to navigate. But if you don't have kids and you're not married, yes, you can walk away. But if you are married, there are a lot of legal ramifications and things like that you have to go through. But again, it's at, your own, whatever.
Yeah, whatever people decide is cool with them, going into marriage. That's really what it boils down to, I suppose. In regards to infidelity, cheating, whatever term you want to use. But I just know that's not really for us. But
right. So let me ask you this then. Mm-hmm. So if we are married mm-hmm. and I was ever unfaithful, mm-hmm. do you think that we would be able to salvage the marriage because we, are married and we do have children? Or do you think that you would be like, nah, I'm okay?
I think that it just really, it would take a lot of strength, but, we have a lot together. We've built, a family together right now, and I think that it would definitely take a lot of counseling, a lot of praying, a lot of prayer, so, but I don't think it would be impossible for us to move past that if that was to be the case. I mean, I guess that's, you can't really say until you're put into that situation.
I just thought I'd ask.
But, I'm sure that a lot of people share that same sentiment. You have a family together, you're married. It's not that easy just to break things off between people, especially during while you're in a marriage. You can't just walk away like you're in a relationship. Yes, you can separate, but you're still married until you're divorced. So I guess you just really don't know until you've been put into that specific.
And don't worry, honey, like I would never put you in that.
I know that.
Bare face or not.
Oh my gosh.
I would never step out.
See, am I supposed to feel that
I love you,
reassured?
Baby. I love you. It's okay.
I know. I love you too, baby. But at the end of the day, it's just between what you and your spouse deem acceptable. But I guess we can go ahead and move on to the next deal breaker.
So the next deal breaker is abuse, whether that be verbal, emotional, or physical. No, that is like the biggest. No. No,
you can't.
like,
there's
I'm
no
not.
excuses for any of that. And believe it or not, America, I just want you to know, the abuse goes both ways.
It does. It can be a woman.
Yeah, it can be a woman. And don't worry, baby, I won't air out your laundry.
What you mean? What you mean?
I'm just kidding.
Okay, so he's trying me today, you all. Okay.
No, my wife would never, and
and my husband would never.
So,
but I do have a question though.
Sure.
So, okay, and you guys can comment below. So, say if you're in a relationship with somebody and they're an open book and they say to you, you know what, I was in a relationship or I was previously married, and I did put my hands on my then girlfriend, fiance, or wife. What do you do with that information? Do you raise that as a red flag and say, you know what? Nope, I'm not dealing with that because I don't want to be put in that situation? Or do you proceed with caution, thinking, hoping, and praying maybe that this person is telling you this information because they are changing, or they have changed their ways, and they just want to keep it, they just want to make sure that that there are no secrets in you all's relationship? What do you do with that?
I think that it's just like with the infidelity. It really depends upon the person. It takes a strong individual already, and it takes a lot of courage to admit that you've done something that that egregious, heading into a new relationship or a new marriage, whatever, what have you. So I think that's a big step. If that person is open to being honest with you. I think it just depends upon the person. You can take that as, okay, they're trying to change, or they have changed. You could also take it as, well, I don't think I want to get myself involved in that because I don't know what could potentially happen. But what I will say is that people are capable of changing, and if that person is big enough to tell you about their past, and that's a big thing to admit, then I think that it doesn't mean that you can't give them a chance. But again, it's another one of those topics where it's just like you really don't know until you get put into that situation, and God forbid that ever happen, to either one of us or anybody else. But that's,
what do you mean, like happen in our past?
Just in our past, or in our future, so you
in our future, you plan on leaving me or something?
No, I guess what I mean to say is, abuse, you never think anybody is capable of abusing anybody, and it usually comes from people you would never suspect.
Right.
But that's just what I mean. I know what kind of person I am, and I know what kind of person my wife is, so I don't think I would ever have to worry about that type of conversation. But for anybody else out there who's ever dealt with abuse, just know that people can change, but it depends upon that person. So that's a touchy subject, and I've never personally in a relationship, I've never dealt with that, but I know people who have. I honestly,
I have.
I know a lot of people who have, and my wife, she could definitely elaborate on that.
Yeah, I can definitely elaborate on that just a little bit. I was once in an abusive relationship, and it wasn't fun. There was a lot more emotional and verbal abuse in that, and that's really, really it's really damaging, especially when you are trying to move forward with your life and you get into another relationship. Sometimes it's kind of hard to recover, and then you end up, sometimes you can end up bringing that into your, your next relationship. I was told all sorts of things about myself. I was actually told that I wasn't, that I wasn't good enough, and, things like that. I was, becoming isolated, from my family, and, I was manipulated a lot. And it's, when you're in it, well, for me, when I was in it, it was horrible. I was young and I thought that I was doing the right thing by trying to seek counseling and trying to, and just really just trying to just stick it out and work it out. But once I came to my senses through some other series of events, looking back now, it was much worse than what I thought I was actually in. I never ever want our children to have to go through that. Ever. It's.
Do you mind if I ask you a question though?
Yeah.
Because it's always, I've always wondered this. Mm-hmm. Why did you stay so long? Is it just because you wanted to try and make it work?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to try to make it work. It was also a little bit of manipulation on my, on my partner's end. When I was in it, it didn't seem like it was too much of a big deal. Mm-hmm. Because it was made normal. That's what I had, that it was normal to me because I was in it for so many years, and, the person really broke my spirit, and again, told me I wasn't good enough and I was doing this wrong. I was doing that wrong. I was weak-minded and, and things like that. And then I started thinking that it was me. So then I'm over here trying to fix me. And I wasn't really the person that needed fixing, but I tried to fix me and I tried to fix the relationship by fixing me. And it was just.
I mean, yeah. I only ask because I like to, gain understanding for, topics that I don't understand firsthand.
Right.
That's just something that I've always wondered, and I'm sure a lot of people out there wonder too. And we take that topic very seriously.
Extremely.
So I just want everybody out there to know that it's okay to talk about things like this, and that's that's why we are today. It is a deal breaker. Don't get me wrong, but you could talk about that at length. In an entire episode. But with that being said, I guess we'll go ahead and move on to the next deal breaker. If you have any left.
Yeah. So the next deal breaker on the list would be, and guys, all of these are not particularly my deal breakers, but now that I'm like looking at the list that I've conducted, they are, except for being with someone that has children. That was never a deal breaker for me. But the other ones are, and this one as well. Another deal breaker would be someone that, how can I put this? That your family doesn't really like, or that doesn't fit into your family. I don't want to say fit into your family because I just don't really like that. Like, I feel like as an individual, you should never really try to fit into any mold, category, or box, whatever. But it makes it so much harder when you are with someone and your family does not approve. Now, some people, I don't know how other people's families are. I know my family, we're extremely family oriented, you know.
Very. Okay, I'll just say, I think I alluded to this in a previous episode. My wife's family is very, very family oriented, and they're at everything. Like, for every birthday, there's a birthday party.
Why not?
Or get together, or every holiday, everybody's together. It's nothing, nothing small. And I'm sure coronavirus has affected that a little bit,
Probably,
but not to a very large extent. Her family loves to get together. I have no problem with that, but my point is just that I came from a different type of family, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my wife is accustomed and has always been accustomed to a particular type of family.
Because we have like family traditions and things like that we've even started to pass down to, Kylan, and, we'll be doing that, with winter this year. So, but yeah, we're extremely family oriented, and, I love it, because
it's not bad.
Family, well, one, because that's all I know.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. If I didn't have such an easy time, I think it was easy, integrating into your immediate family, would that have been a deal breaker for you?
It could have, because my family, they're very easygoing, and they're really open. They're not judgmental or anything like that. Like, if you have, some things in your past or whatever, it is what it is. My family is a very much, come as you are kind of family, I would think. And so it's like, if my family is having concerns about someone that I'm with or that I'm dating, then they're legitimate concerns then. Like...
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could understand that. And
that's just me. This isn't like, like, for you all, you guys know your families better than we do.
All I know is that, I think that probably would have been a big issue for me too. A big deal breaker if my family didn't like you, or if you all couldn't get along, then that probably... It's hard to be in a relationship, let alone a marriage, if your family does not particularly like your significant other. It's hard to function like
especially
that.
when the holidays,
holidays,
especially when the
birthdays,
holidays come around, because it's like holiday after holiday after holiday.
It's the...
So you are consistently like every month, like once you hit like October, it's like every month there's extra family time,
especially in this family. So
what that mean?
All I know is that we don't have to worry about that issue,
right?
And I'm glad that we don't.
Right.
And I hope that nobody else out there has to, but I know that that's not the reality, for some couples.
Right.
But that does not mean you can't make it work,
Exactly.
If you don't care about what your family thinks about your significant other, because I know there are people out there who are like that. I know some people like that, and they're just fine. If the both of you can operate, and that's the key, not just the one, not just your spouse, or not just you. If both of you are on the same page with that, not caring about what your family thinks, then by all means. But for us, for the Perrys, for the Perry gang here, it doesn't work like that. We definitely, we're family oriented. My family is not as oriented as hers, but, we don't have any issues like that. Obviously, my family lives, pretty much all of them live in Ohio, and we live here in, Maryland. So we're not able to get together as much as we would like to, but we still make the trips down.
We make an effort.
So, that's where we're at with that. And I know that could be a deal breaker for a lot of people. And for us, I'm sure that the both of us can agree that it would be a deal breaker for the both of us.
Right. And then like for the people that you said were like, who don't have an issue, like if their family and their spouse, if their family doesn't like their spouse, and vice versa, like sometimes that, in my opinion, from being in that situation at one point, it makes it harder on your relationship, because then it's like you feel like when things come up in the family, you don't want to bring the person that your family doesn't like, because then sometimes it can create an awkward environment, which can then cause an argument between you and your spouse, or you and your significant other. And then sometimes you find yourself playing the middleman between your loved one and your family, and it just becomes too much on one person. And I feel like that just creates a lot of turmoil, and it just creates problem after problem after problem. And that, to me, that's just too much work, y'all. Like, marriage in itself is already work, so imagine adding that as another layer, and then having children. So then you got a whole nother layer. Like, that's a lot. That's the most, for me. So I know that I'm not cut out for that. I'm just not. But it does make things a lot difficult, and your relationship can definitely suffer.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, people will make decisions based upon what's comfortable to them. And if people allow certain things to go on, if you are okay with your family not liking your spouse, and they don't particularly like your
that's
family,
your prerogative.
or and if both of you can get on the same page, I suppose that it wouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker. But for us, again, it definitely would be. I know my wife has talked about a couple of ones that resonate with her, and to be honest with you, I don't. I tried to sit down and think about this topic, about what would have been a deal breaker for me, heading into marriage, and I there's not too many that I can think of off the top of my head, other than what my wife has already alluded to, and that's bringing a previous child into the picture. And the one thing that I've never had to worry about is one, how much my wife, how much effort she puts into making sure that my child, Kylan, feels loved, and that and that she's just as important as any of our other children. I've never had to worry about that. I've never had to worry about whether or not Kylan would be accepted, or whether or not I could even bring her around. So I'm very thankful for that, and that's probably the only deal breaker that I can think of off the top of my head. Because if that wouldn't have been the case, then again, we wouldn't be the family that we are. We probably wouldn't have gotten married, because we spoke about this in the last episode, I believe. I was transparent, and that could have went any number of ways. It could have been an automatic no for me, dog. It could have been
it's a no for me, dog.
It could have been okay. You know what? Let's just take some time to process this. Or it could have just been what it was, and that was my wife decided that despite the fact that I already had a child on the way, she was willing to still jump into the relationship.
I even bought you like a little kit around the time. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When, like, right before she was born, I think I had bought my husband it was just a bunch of stuff in there. It was like a baby wash, lotion, diaper rash cream. Like, it was just all types of stuff in this little basket, because I really wanted my husband to understand that, I was in it, and I wasn't going anywhere, and I was accepting what was happening.
Yeah, so that was just the kindest gesture. My wife is just that type of wife, she was that way before we got married, as you can see, and according to that story, so you could definitely do a lot you could do a lot worse than having a wife like that. My wife, to me, is, she's always got my back. She's always had Kylan's best interest at heart. She has always, of course, she's always tried to approach things with the best possible solution, no matter, how tough a conversation might be. But with that being said, go ahead and like, subscribe, share. Follow us on @TheParrotLife on Twitter, Instagram. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'll be looking at having couples on there. Again, don't forget to look up, purchase merch. The Parrot Life. We'll put the link in the description. And again, you guys have a good day. Thank you for viewing.
Bye.